Hi, I'm Jillian Gallagher, and today we're going to do an introduction to word building using the Isabel Beck routine of cumulative blending, and this is the A1 list. If you search online, there are lots of sources that you can find all of the different lists that increase in challenge and also start to incorporate um, two-letter blends. They start to incorporate bonus letters or the fizzle rule, and then they also start to incorporate vowel teams and silent E, long vowel sounds. But for today, since this is our introduction, we're going to use these five letters: A, D, D, M, and S. The reason that D is listed twice is because when we're first starting to word build, we give students only the letters that we'll be using. The reason that we give them only the letters that we're going to be using is because we want to reinforce the automaticity of that letter sound correspondence. And if students are looking at a variety of letters that we won't be using, it causes more confusion and slows down that automaticity a little bit. So for our purposes, when we word build, specifically in these types of routines, we're only going to give students the letters that we're going to be using. When students start to transfer what they're thinking or the words that they're using into writing, which would be called encoding, we're taking the sound and putting a letter to it. They will have to have that strong letter sound correspondence mentally. And this is the way that we're going to build that. Underneath all of our words is going to be a line. The purpose of this line is to help students blend from left to right. And we're going to remind students about tracking. Good readers, track underneath the words as they're reading to make sure that they have their place and also to make sure that they're reading accurately. On the right side of our screen, you're going to see that the words are going to be listed after we build them. This is a brief list, but the reason that we list the words that we've built is to help students transfer those words to text. We're going to build the words, we're going to read the words, and then we're going to put those words into sentences. So that's our text transfer. Students will use both sight words and words that they can decode in the sentences to help them build their fluency and automaticity. So let's begin. We're going to go letter by letter, and each time we go to a new word, we're only going to change one sound. D. If I was working with students, I would say, okay, bring down your letter D. The sound for the letter D is D. Bring your letter A. Short A says ah. Let's read this word chunk together. We're going to slide our finger underneath the word on that arrow. D, ah, da. It's important to keep the pace of your word building quick so that students are not spending their time identifying each letter, picking a picture, then finding the sound. We want students to be automatic. So we want as little transition time between those sounds as possible. D, ah, da. The first word chunk we have is da. Put a D at the end of your word. The final sound is D. Let's read all three sounds together. D, ad, dad. This word is dad. I would also model how to use this in a sentence so that students are understanding both the word and also its meaning. We always want to connect meaning to the words. I went with my dad to the playground. Dad. And we put our word over on the right side of our screen so that as students are building these words, they can also start to see a pattern in the words. We're going to start with the ending chunk of our word. All of our words are going to rhyme. The reason that they're going to rhyme, and we're talking about the add family, is they have the same letters. You can have rhyming words that do not use the same letters, but when we're talking about a word family, they do have those same letters. So here's our add family. Let's put a letter in the beginning of our word. And it's important to specify to students, we're going to put the letter in the beginning of the word, the middle, or the end, so that they know where to place the letter. S. The letter S says S. Let's read the two chunks of the word. S, add, sad. I was sad when I dropped my ice cream. Students may also point out they both have AD. They do. And it's important to acknowledge that and tell students that that AD at the end of that word tells us that those are rhyming words, dad and sad. We'll keep going with our add words. Bring down our M, put it in the front. M says, add, mad. I was mad when my dog chewed my shoe. Add. Add, sad. I was sad when my friend moved away. You may notice that now we've built sad twice. This reinforcement for students is not only helpful when we're building the automaticity and recognizing rhymes, but it also gives them that additional opportunity to practice building and reading. We want to reinforce that letter sound correspondence as much as possible. Add. Add. Dad. This word is dad. My dad went to work. We've built 5 words now. Since this is our introduction, we're going to stop here and we're going to transfer now to some sentences. But I would have my students read with me going down our list. Dad, sad, mad, sad, dad. We don't want students to get hung up saying the sounds of each letter numerous times and going through the word. If students are struggling to blend those sounds together, the adult should model blending those sounds. Add, dad. We don't want students to say individual sounds numerous times because then they lose the fluency that we want them to develop. Add, mad. Add, mad. Now we have built each of our 3 words 2 times. So our students have had at least 2 opportunities to practice. We've read our words, so there's an additional opportunity to practice. We're going to incorporate our 3 words into some sentences using sight words that students are familiar with. I am sad. I and am are sight words. The reason that we don't often sound out am is because that am or an sound can frequently be a little muddy, and we don't normally say am. So rather than have a distorted short a sound, we teach it as a sight word. I am sad. Dad is sad. I am mad. Dad is mad. The next option after you've built these 3 words would be to continue building some add family words. If you're doing this orally, you don't have to use real words. Or if you're writing these words, you don't have to use real words. You can make up a nonsense word, but it's important to identify that those are nonsense words or silly words to students. We can still read them, but they're not real words. So if we want to stick with words that have meaning, we can say we're going to pick words that are real, but I know that you can make other rhyming words. After students are familiar with this rhyming process and the word building process, they can start to decode these words more automatically. You could also have them practice encoding or putting into text. So if a student was writing the sentence, I am sad, we want students to be able to segment those sounds. Add. There are 3 sounds in the word, so I know I need to have at least 3 letters. Add. This is where that letter sound correspondence mentally is so necessary. Students need to be able to hear that s and automatically know it's the letter S. Know that it's an A. Know that we put the D. So, I am sad. Students can practice writing these as sentences. They can make up their own sentences. It's important to give many opportunities to reinforce this connection between reading, writing, speaking. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy reading.